Stop. Think about the person you cannot seem to forget, the one who still appears in your mind when the world becomes quiet, the one who crosses your thoughts before sleep, the one who left your life but somehow never left your head. Now ask yourself this: if they are gone, why are they still taking up space inside your mind? Why does a single memory still have the power to change your mood? Why does one person continue living inside your thoughts long after the chapter has ended? Buddhist wisdom teaches that the deepest attachments are not chains around your body. They are chains around your attention. Because whatever you keep giving your attention to slowly gains power over your inner world. And without realizing it, many people spend years giving their peace away to someone who is no longer part of their life. But what if the real reason you cannot stop thinking about them has nothing to do with love? What if you are not holding on to a person at all? What if you are holding on to a feeling, a story, or a version of yourself that no longer exists? Stay with me, because once you understand why certain people never leave your mind, you will finally understand how to take your peace back. You are not missing them. You are missing the feeling they awakened in you. One of the most important truths most people never realize is this: you are often not missing the person. You are missing the feeling. At first, this may sound strange, because when their face appears in your mind, it feels like you are thinking about them. It feels like they are the reason your heart still hurts. It feels like they are the reason you cannot fully move on. But if you look deeper, something interesting begins to happen. Ask yourself what exactly you miss. Do you miss who they truly were? Or do you miss how you felt when you were around them? For many people, the answer is hidden inside that question. Maybe they came into your life during a difficult season. A season when you felt alone. A season when nobody seemed to understand what was happening inside your heart. Then suddenly they appeared. They listened. They cared. They gave you attention. And for the first time in a long time, you felt seen. Maybe they made you feel important when you felt invisible. Maybe they gave you hope when your life felt uncertain. Maybe they made you feel appreciated when nobody else seemed to notice your efforts. Maybe they made you believe that beautiful things were still possible. Over time, your mind connected those feelings to that person. The feeling of excitement, the feeling of comfort, the feeling of being wanted, the feeling of being chosen, the feeling of having someone who understands you. And when those feelings disappear, the mind starts searching for the source. It assumes the person was the source, so it keeps bringing them back into your thoughts, again and again, day after day, year after year. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something very different. It teaches that no person creates peace inside you. They can awaken it. They can reflect it. They can temporarily help you experience it. But the feeling itself comes from within. Think about it carefully. The same person who made you feel special might not have created the same feeling in someone else. Why? Because the feeling was not living inside them. It was being experienced inside you. They simply became connected to it. This is why people often make a painful mistake after heartbreak, rejection, or loss. They spend years trying to get the person back, when what they are truly searching for is the feeling they experienced while they were together. The person becomes a symbol of happiness, a symbol of safety, a symbol of love, a symbol of hope, a symbol of a future they imagined but never received. And because of that, the mind keeps holding on, not to reality, but to the emotional experience attached to that person. The problem is that memory is not honest. Memory does not show us the whole picture. Memory often keeps the beautiful moments and quietly hides the painful ones. It highlights the smiles, the laughter, the late-night conversations, the good memories, but it forgets the confusion, the disappointment, the unanswered questions, the moments that hurt. The mind slowly turns a real human being into a perfect image that never actually existed. And then it starts missing that image. Not the real person, the image. This is why some people stay trapped for years. They are chasing a feeling that exists only in memory. Meanwhile, life keeps moving forward. New opportunities arrive, new relationships appear, new experiences wait for them. But their heart remains stuck in a chapter that has already ended. The Buddha taught that attachment creates suffering. Not because love is wrong, but because attachment asks the past to return, and the past never returns. No matter how much we think about it, no matter how much we miss it, no matter how much we wish things had happened differently. Life only moves in one direction, forward. And healing begins the moment we stop looking for our happiness in yesterday. But here is the beautiful truth. If a feeling was created within you once, it can exist within you again. Not through another person, not through chasing someone who left, not through reliving old memories every night, but through reconnecting with yourself. The peace you felt was never living inside them. The confidence you felt was never living inside them. The joy you felt was never living inside them. The love you experienced was never living inside them. They simply helped reveal something that already existed within your own heart, like a mirror reflecting sunlight. The mirror did not create the light. It only reflected what was already there. In the same way, certain people reflect parts of ourselves that we forgot existed. And when they leave, we mistakenly believe those parts left with them. But they did not. They are still within you, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting to be awakened again. The moment you understand this, something begins to change. The attachment starts becoming weaker. The obsession starts losing its grip. The constant replaying of memories begins to slow down, because you stop believing that your happiness left when they left. You stop believing that your peace disappeared when they disappeared. You stop believing that your future was tied to one single person. And for the first time, you begin taking your power back. You begin realizing that what you miss most was never truly theirs to take away. It was always yours. And the moment you stop looking for it in them, you finally begin finding it within yourself. The mind keeps returning to stories that ended without peace. One of the deepest reasons certain people never leave your mind has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with attraction. And sometimes it does not even have anything to do with the person themselves. It has to do with something much more powerful. The human mind struggles to let go of stories that never felt complete. Think about it. When a chapter of your life ends peacefully, it becomes easier to accept. When there is understanding, clarity, and closure, the heart slowly finds a place to rest. But not every story ends that way. Some people leave without explanation. Some people slowly change into someone you no longer recognize. Some people walk away while you are still trying to understand what happened. And some people leave behind 1,000 unanswered questions. Why did they change? Why did they stop caring? Why did things fall apart? What could I have done differently? Did they ever truly love me? Did I mean anything to them at all? The mind becomes trapped inside these questions, not because it enjoys suffering, but because it desperately wants understanding. The mind believes that if it can just find the right answer, the pain will finally disappear. So it keeps replaying the story again and again and again. It reviews old conversations. It analyzes old messages. It revisits old memories. It searches for clues that were missed. It tries to rewrite the ending. It tries to solve a problem that no longer exists. And before a person realizes it, months or even years have passed. Yet, the story continues playing inside their mind. This is why some people remain in your thoughts long after they have left your life. It is not always because they are important. It is because the story never felt finished. The mind hates uncertainty. It wants everything to make sense. It wants every ending to have an explanation. It wants every wound to have a reason. But life does not always work that way. Sometimes people leave, and you never discover the real reason. Sometimes you never receive the apology you deserve. Sometimes you never get the conversation you spent years hoping for. Sometimes there is no final explanation, no perfect ending, no satisfying conclusion. And this is where suffering often begins. Because the mind refuses to accept what reality has already accepted. Reality has moved forward, but the mind remains standing in the doorway of an old chapter, waiting, questioning, hoping, searching. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from resisting what already is. We suffer because we want reality to be different. We want the story to have ended another way. We want people to behave differently. We want the past to change. But no amount of thinking can rewrite yesterday. No amount of worrying can create a different ending. And no amount of replaying old memories can bring peace to a story that is already over. The truth is that many people are not attached to a person. They are attached to a question they keep carrying everywhere they go. And because the question remains alive, the person remains alive inside their mind. But there comes a moment when healing asks something difficult from us. It asks us to stop demanding answers from life. It asks us to stop chasing explanations that may never arrive. It asks us to accept uncertainty. And that is not easy. The human ego wants certainty. The ego wants control. The ego wants every loose end tied together neatly. But peace often begins when we stop demanding that life explained itself. Sometimes closure does not come from another person. Sometimes closure comes from your decision to stop waiting, to stop chasing, to stop asking the same question over and over, to stop standing at a closed door, hoping it will suddenly open again. Because some doors were never meant to reopen. Not because life is cruel, but because life is trying to lead you somewhere new. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase everywhere you go, year after year. At first, the weight feels normal. You become so used to carrying it that you forget how heavy it is. Then one day you finally put it down, and suddenly you realize how much energy it was stealing from you. Unfinished stories work the same way. The questions, the confusion, the regret, the endless search for answers. All of it becomes emotional weight. Weight that follows you into new relationships. Weight that follows you into quiet moments. Weight that follows you into your future. And the longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. The Buddha taught that freedom is not found in controlling every outcome. Freedom is found in releasing the need to control. Sometimes healing is not learning what happened. Sometimes healing is accepting that you may never know. And surprisingly, that acceptance often brings more peace than any answer ever could. Because the truth is this: even if that person returned today and answered every question perfectly, there is no guarantee your mind would finally be satisfied. The mind would simply create new questions, new doubts, new stories. That is its nature. This is why true peace does not come from getting every answer. True peace comes from becoming comfortable with not having every answer. It comes from trusting that not every mystery needs to be solved. Not every chapter needs to be understood. Not every ending needs to make sense. Some people enter your life to stay. Some people enter your life to teach. And some people enter your life simply to help you grow into a stronger version of yourself. Once their lesson is complete, life moves forward. The suffering begins when we keep trying to reopen a chapter that has already ended. The healing begins when we finally say, I may never understand everything that happened. I may never receive all the answers, but I no longer need them to find peace. And the moment you truly understand that, the story finally starts losing its power over you. Not because you forgot, not because it stopped mattering, but because you stopped giving your future away to a past that can never be changed. Attachment turns a simple memory into an inner prison. A memory by itself is not the problem. Everyone has memories. Everyone remembers people. Everyone carries moments from the past. There is nothing wrong with that. The real suffering begins when attachment enters the picture, because attachment changes the way we relate to our memories. Without attachment, a memory is simply something that happened. With attachment, a memory becomes something we cannot stop living inside. And this is where many people become trapped without even realizing it. Think about someone who constantly looks at old photos. Someone who keeps replaying the same conversations in their mind. Someone who revisits the same memories every night before sleep. Someone who keeps imagining how life would have looked if things had turned out differently. At first it feels harmless. It feels like remembering. But slowly, remembering turns into reliving, and reliving turns into attachment. The mind stops visiting the past. The mind starts living there. This is why some people cannot move forward even when years have passed. Their body is in the present, but their heart is still sitting inside an old chapter. A chapter that has already ended. A chapter that reality has already closed. But one they continue reopening every single day. Buddhist wisdom teaches that attachment is not love. Many people confuse the two. They believe that holding on proves how deeply they cared. They believe that refusing to let go means the connection was special. But attachment is very different from love. Love allows life to flow. Attachment tries to freeze life in place. Love appreciates what was. Attachment demands that it should still be here. Love accepts change. Attachment fights against it. And because life is constantly changing, attachment creates endless suffering. Imagine trying to hold water tightly in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Life works the same way. The harder we cling to people, moments and memories, the more pain we create for ourselves. The Buddha often taught that suffering comes from wanting reality to be different than it is. And attachment is exactly that. Attachment whispers, "This should not have ended. They should still be here. Things should have happened differently. Life should have followed the plan I created in my mind." But reality has its own path. And reality never asks permission before changing. People change, relationships change, feelings change, entire seasons of life change. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. Yet attachment keeps asking for permanence in a world built on change. That is why it hurts so much. The deeper attachment becomes, the more the mind starts building an invisible prison. The walls of that prison are not made from iron. They are made from thoughts. Regret becomes one wall. Longing becomes another. What if questions become another. Unfinished dreams become another. Slowly, without realizing it, you become trapped inside your own thinking. And the most painful part is this: the door is often open, But attachment convinces you to stay inside. It convinces you that your happiness exists behind you. It convinces you that your best days belonged to the past. It convinces you that something essential was lost forever. And because you believe that story, you stop fully living. You stop noticing the beauty that still exists around you. You stop seeing new opportunities. You stop appreciating new connections. You stop being present, because your attention remains focused on what is gone. This is why attachment is so dangerous. It does not only steal your peace, it steals your present moment. And the present moment is the only place where life actually exists. The past exists only as memory. The future exists only as imagination. But attachment keeps pulling you away from the only place where healing can happen. Right here, right now. Think about how many beautiful moments people miss because they are mentally living somewhere else. A peaceful morning, a meaningful conversation, a chance to grow, a chance to begin again, a chance to discover a new version of themselves. All missed because the mind is still holding on to yesterday. This is not because they are weak. It is because attachment creates the illusion that letting go means losing something important. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is making space for peace, making space for growth, making space for new experiences, making space for the life that is trying to unfold in front of you. One of the greatest misunderstandings about letting go is that people think they must forget. They think healing means erasing the memory. But that is not what Buddhist wisdom teaches. You do not need to forget. You do not need to pretend the person never mattered. You do not need to deny the love, the lessons, or the memories. You simply stop carrying them as a burden. You allow the memory to become a chapter instead of a prison. You allow it to become part of your story without becoming your entire story. That is freedom, because freedom is not the absence of memory. Freedom is the absence of attachment. Freedom is being able to remember without suffering, to appreciate without clinging, to love without needing possession, to honor the past without living inside it. And eventually, something beautiful begins to happen. The memories remain, but they become lighter. The person may still cross your mind, but they no longer control your emotions. The story still exists, but it no longer controls your future. The prison slowly disappears. Not because the past changed, but because your relationship with the past changed. And that is the moment real healing begins. The moment you stop asking the memory to give you happiness. The moment you stop asking yesterday to become today again. The moment you finally understand that peace is not found by holding on tighter. Peace is found by gently opening your hand and allowing life to move forward. Because what is meant for your growth will never be found inside a cage built from old memories. It will be found in the freedom that begins when you finally let them go. Every thought you replay gives the past more power. Most people believe they are suffering because of what happened, but often they are suffering because of what they keep replaying. This is one of the most important truths to understand. The event itself may have happened months ago, years ago, sometimes even decades ago. Yet the emotional pain still feels alive. Why? Because the mind keeps bringing the past into the present, again and again. Every time you replay an old memory, you give it new energy. Every time you revisit an old wound, you keep it alive. Every time you mentally return to a person who is no longer part of your life, you invite them back into your inner world. Without realizing it, many people spend hours every week feeding the very thoughts that are stealing their peace. They replay old conversations. They imagine different outcomes. They think about what they should have said. They think about what the other person should have done. They create imaginary scenarios, imaginary reunions, imaginary explanations, imaginary endings. The mind becomes like a movie theater that keeps showing the same film over and over again. And because the movie is familiar, it continues grabbing your attention. But here is the problem. Every time the movie plays, the emotional attachment grows stronger. The memory becomes deeper. The habit becomes stronger. The suffering becomes more familiar. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind becomes what it repeatedly practices. Whatever you feed grows. Whatever you water survives. Whatever you repeatedly focus on becomes more powerful. Imagine planting 2 seeds in a garden. One seed represents peace. The other seed represents attachment. Every day you choose where to pour your water. If you constantly pour your attention into old memories, old pain, and old attachments, that garden will continue growing. Not because it is powerful, but because you are feeding it. The same principle exists inside the mind. Attention is food. Attention is energy. Attention is life. And whatever receives your attention begins occupying more space within you. This is why certain people seem impossible to forget. Not necessarily because they were extraordinary. Not necessarily because they were your soulmate. Not necessarily because they were meant to stay forever. Sometimes they remain because the mind has practiced thinking about them for so long that it has become a habit, and habits are powerful. Think about how many thoughts happen automatically. You do not choose them consciously, they simply appear. Why? Because repetition created a mental pathway. The more you travel a path, the easier it becomes to walk. The same thing happens with emotional memories. Every replay strengthens the pathway. Every replay makes the memory easier to access. Every replay teaches the mind that this person is important. And soon, the mind starts returning there automatically. This is why people often say, "I don't know why I keep thinking about them." The truth is that the mind is doing exactly what it has been trained to do. It is following the path that has been repeated the most. The Buddha understood this deeply. He taught that suffering is not only created by events, it is created by the way the mind repeatedly attaches itself to events. The problem is rarely the first thought. The problem is the 100 thoughts that follow. A memory appears. That is natural. But then the mind begins building a story around it. It starts analyzing, comparing, imagining, regretting, longing. And before long, one simple thought has turned into an hour of emotional suffering. Most people never notice this process happening. They assume the memory controls them. But in reality, they are participating in the process. Not intentionally, not consciously, but through repeated attention. Imagine someone knocks on your door. You can acknowledge them and continue with your day. Or you can invite them inside and let them stay for hours. Thoughts work the same way. A memory can appear. You can notice it, you can acknowledge it, and then allow it to pass. Or you can invite it inside, offer it a chair, start a conversation, replay every detail, relive every emotion. And before you know it, the memory has taken over your entire day. This is how attachment survives. Not through force, but through attention. The more attention something receives, the stronger it becomes. The less attention it receives, the weaker it becomes. This does not mean forcing yourself to forget. It does not mean fighting your thoughts. In fact, fighting thoughts often gives them more power. The more you resist them, the more they demand attention. Instead, Buddhist wisdom teaches awareness, simple awareness. When the memory appears, notice it. When the thought arrives, observe it. When the emotion rises, allow yourself to feel it without becoming lost inside it. Become the observer, not the prisoner. Become the witness, not the participant. Notice the thought without following it. Notice the memory without feeding it. Notice the emotion without building a story around it. This sounds simple, but it is incredibly powerful, because the moment you stop feeding a thought, it begins losing strength. The moment you stop watering an attachment, it begins drying up. The moment you stop replaying the past begins losing its grip on the present. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Many people have become so used to thinking about someone that letting go feels strange. The attachment has become familiar. The suffering has become familiar. Even the pain feels familiar. And the mind often prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom. That is why healing can feel uncomfortable at first. You are not only releasing a person, you are releasing a mental habit. A habit that may have existed for months or years. But every time you choose awareness instead of replaying the story, you take your power back. Every time you choose the present moment over the past, you become stronger. Every time you stop feeding the memory loses a little more control. Slowly, something beautiful begins to happen. The thoughts become less frequent. The emotional charge becomes weaker. The memories become lighter. The person who once occupied your mind every day begins appearing less and less, not because you forced them out, but because you stopped giving them energy, and eventually you realize something profound. The person was never controlling your mind. The habit was. And once the habit disappears, the attachment begins disappearing with it. This is why freedom does not come from changing the past. Freedom comes from changing where you place your attention today. Because whatever you repeatedly think about becomes stronger, but whatever you stop feeding eventually fades away. And the moment you understand this, you stop giving your energy to yesterday. You stop giving your attention to a chapter that has already ended. You stop giving your life force to memories that can never become reality again. And for the first time in a very long time, your mind begins returning home to the present moment, the only place where peace has ever existed. Sometimes you miss the version of yourself you were with them. This may be one of the deepest truths in the entire journey of letting go, and it is a truth that most people never discover. Sometimes the person living inside your mind is not actually the person you miss. Sometimes what you truly miss is the version of yourself that existed when they were part of your life. At first, this can be difficult to understand, because when their face appears in your thoughts, it feels like they are the center of your longing. It feels like they are the reason your heart keeps returning to the past. But if you look carefully, something deeper begins to reveal itself. Think back to the time when they were part of your life. Who were you during that season? How did you feel? How did you see yourself? What dreams were alive inside you? What hopes filled your heart? What kind of future were you imagining? For many people, the pain is not only about losing a person, it is about losing an entire version of life. A version that felt exciting, a version that felt meaningful, a version that felt full of possibility. Maybe you were more optimistic back then. Maybe you smiled more. Maybe you felt more confident. Maybe you believed beautiful things were waiting for you. Maybe you felt understood. Maybe you felt emotionally safe. Maybe you felt like someone finally saw the parts of you that nobody else noticed. And when that person left, it felt like all of those feelings left with them. But did they really? Or did your mind simply connect those feelings to that person? This is where many people become trapped. They spend years trying to get the person back because they believe the person was the source of everything they felt. But often, the deeper truth is that the person became associated with a certain chapter of your life, a chapter where you felt more alive, a chapter where you felt more hopeful, a chapter where you felt closer to the person you wanted to become. So every time you think about them, you are not only remembering them, you are remembering yourself. You are remembering who you were. You are remembering how life felt. You are remembering a version of your own heart. This is why some memories feel so emotional, because hidden inside the memory is a part of yourself you have lost touch with. The person becomes a doorway leading back to an older version of you. And without realizing it, you begin confusing the two. You think you miss them, but what you truly miss is the feeling of being alive that existed during that time. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from misunderstanding the true source of our pain. We look outside ourselves when the answer is often within. We chase people when we need to reconnect with ourselves. We chase old stories when we need to begin a new one. We search for what was lost outside when what was lost actually exists within. Think about how often people say things like, "I was happier back then. Everything felt easier back then. I felt more like myself back then." Notice something important. They are not always talking about another person. They are talking about themselves. The version of themselves that existed during that period of life. The tragedy is that many people spend years trying to recover that version through another person, but it never works, because no one can return you to yourself. Only you can do that. No relationship can permanently provide your identity. No person can permanently provide your worth. No external connection can permanently provide your inner peace. Those things must eventually come from within. The Buddha taught that everything outside of us changes. People change, circumstances change, relationships change, entire lives change. If your happiness depends completely on something that changes, suffering becomes unavoidable. That is why true peace begins when you stop searching for yourself inside another person. Because the version of you that you miss is not gone. It is not lost forever. It did not disappear when they disappeared. It is still there. Buried beneath disappointment, buried beneath heartbreak, buried beneath years of self-doubt, but still there, waiting. Many people think healing means finding someone new. Sometimes healing means finding yourself again. The confident version, the hopeful version, the joyful version, the curious version, the peaceful version. The version that existed before pain convinced you that you were broken. Imagine a beautiful garden that has been neglected for years. The flowers are still there. The roots are still there. The potential is still there. It simply needs care again. Your inner self is the same. The qualities you believe were lost are often still within you. They have simply been covered by emotional pain, covered by fear, covered by attachment, covered by old stories. And healing is the process of uncovering them again. This is why some people experience a powerful realization during their healing journey. One day they wake up and notice something. The person who once consumed their thoughts no longer feels as important. Not because the memories disappeared, not because the past stopped mattering, but because they started reconnecting with themselves. They started building a new life. They started discovering new passions. They started growing. They started becoming whole again. And as they became more connected to themselves, the attachment naturally became weaker, because what they were truly searching for was never another person. It was themselves. The version of themselves they abandoned while chasing someone else's presence. The version of themselves they forgot while carrying old pain. The version of themselves they stopped nurturing while waiting for someone to return. This is why one of the greatest acts of healing is not finding your way back to them. It is finding your way back to yourself, back to your own heart, back to your own strength, back to your own peace, back to your own life. Because the person you keep searching for may not be the one who left. The person you have been searching for all along may be you. And the beautiful truth is this: you are not lost. You are not broken. You are not missing a piece of yourself forever. You have simply forgotten where to look. And the moment you stop searching for yourself inside another person, you begin discovering that everything you thought you lost has been quietly waiting inside you the entire time. That is the moment true healing begins. And that is the moment you finally start coming home to yourself. True detachment begins when you stop giving them a home inside your mind. One of the greatest misunderstandings about healing is the belief that time alone will make someone disappear from your mind. Many people wait. They wait for months. They wait for years. They tell themselves that eventually they will wake up and no longer think about that person, no longer feel the pain, no longer carry the memories, but often that day never arrives. Not because healing is impossible, but because the person never truly left. They simply moved from your life into your mind. And there is a big difference between the two. A person can leave your world completely. They can stop calling, stop texting, stop showing up. They can become a stranger. Yet somehow they continue living inside your thoughts every day. This is why some people feel exhausted even when nothing is happening in their lives. They are carrying people who are no longer physically present. They are carrying conversations that ended years ago. They are carrying regrets that can never be changed. They are carrying emotional weight that reality has already released. The body has moved on, but the mind has not, and that is where true suffering begins. Buddhist wisdom teaches that attachment survives because we keep giving it a place to stay. We keep opening the door, we keep offering it space, we keep inviting it back, not intentionally, not consciously, but through our thoughts. Every time you replay the story, every time you imagine what could have been, every time you mentally revisit the past, you are giving that person another room inside your mind. Slowly, they become a permanent resident in your inner world. And the strange thing is that many people do not even notice it happening. They become so used to carrying the attachment that it feels normal. The suffering becomes familiar. The longing becomes familiar. The sadness becomes familiar. And eventually they stop questioning it. They simply assume this is how life is supposed to feel. But imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day for 10 years. Eventually the weight would feel normal. You might even forget you are carrying it. Yet the weight would still be there, draining your energy, slowing your movement, making every step more difficult. Emotional attachments work the same way. Many people are carrying invisible weight created by old relationships, old disappointments, old dreams, old versions of life that no longer exist. And because they carry this weight every day, they never experience the freedom that comes from putting it down. The Buddha often spoke about the importance of letting go, not because memories are bad, not because relationships are bad, but because clinging creates suffering. A memory is not the problem. The problem is turning the memory into a permanent home. A chapter is not the problem. The problem is refusing to leave the chapter after the story has ended. Think about how many people spend years mentally living in a moment that lasted only a few months. A relationship ends, but they keep reliving it. A person leaves, but they keep following them through their thoughts. A dream falls apart, but they keep standing in the ruins instead of building something new. The attachment continues growing because the mind keeps feeding it. And slowly, the past begins occupying space that belongs to the present. Space that should belong to peace. Space that should belong to growth. Space that should belong to new experiences. Space that should belong to your future. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are seasons. Some people are lessons. Some people are mirrors. Some people arrive to reveal something important about yourself. And once that lesson is complete, life asks you to continue walking. But attachment keeps looking backward. Attachment keeps standing still. Attachment keeps waiting at a door that has already closed. This is why true detachment is not about forgetting someone. It is about accepting that their role in your story has changed. They may always be part of your memories. They may always be part of your journey. But they no longer need to be the center of your attention. They no longer need to occupy your thoughts every day. They no longer need to control your emotions. Detachment is not coldness. Detachment is not pretending you never cared. Detachment is not becoming emotionally numb. True detachment is much more beautiful than that. It is remembering without becoming trapped. It is loving without clinging. It is appreciating without possessing. It is honoring the past without living inside it. Many people fear letting go because they think it means losing something valuable. But often, letting go is how you recover something even more valuable: your peace, your energy, your clarity, your freedom, your life. Because every moment spent carrying yesterday is a moment that cannot be fully lived today, and life continues moving whether we move with it or not. New opportunities continue appearing. New people continue arriving. New experiences continue waiting. New chapters continue opening. But attachment keeps our eyes fixed on what is behind us. And because we are looking backward, we miss what is standing in front of us. This is why healing is not about removing someone from your memory. Healing is about removing their control over your mind. It is about taking back the space you have unknowingly given away. It is about reclaiming the energy that has been trapped in old stories. It is about returning your attention to the present moment, the only place where life can actually be lived, the only place where peace can actually be experienced, the only place where growth can actually happen. And eventually, if you continue choosing awareness over attachment, something beautiful begins to happen. The thoughts become quieter. The memories become softer. The emotional storms begin settling. The person who once occupied your mind every hour begins appearing less and less, not because you forced them out, not because you erased the past, but because you stopped giving them a home inside your mind. You stopped feeding the attachment. You stopped reopening the door. You stopped carrying what life was asking you to release. And for the first time in a very long time, your mind becomes spacious again, peaceful again, free again. You realize that happiness was never waiting for their return. Peace was never waiting for a different ending. Freedom was never waiting for more answers. It was waiting for you to let go. Because the moment you stop giving the past a home inside your mind, you finally make room for your future. And that is where true detachment begins. Not when they disappear from your memory, but when they no longer occupy your peace. And in that moment, you do not lose them. You find yourself. Maybe the greatest lesson hidden inside all of this is that the people who stay in your mind are not always meant to stay in your life. Some people arrive to teach you. Some arrive to awaken you. Some arrive to show you parts of yourself you had forgotten. And some arrive only to help you become the person you were meant to be. The suffering begins when we try to turn temporary chapters into permanent ones. When we keep holding on to people long after life has asked us to release them. When we keep searching for peace in places where peace no longer exists. But today, you have seen something important. You have seen that the person living inside your mind may not be the real source of your pain. The attachment is, the story is, the habit of returning to the past is. And if attachment was created, attachment can also be released. Not overnight, not by force, not by pretending you never cared, but slowly, gently, with awareness, with patience, with compassion for yourself. The truth is that your life is too precious to spend it living inside old memories. Your heart is too valuable to keep giving its energy to people who are no longer part of your journey. Your future is too important to be sacrificed for a chapter that has already ended. The Buddha taught that everything changes, every season, every relationship, every emotion, every chapter of life. And when we learn to flow with that truth, instead of fighting it, something beautiful happens. We stop chasing what is gone. We stop clinging to what cannot stay. We stop searching for ourselves in other people, and we finally come home to ourselves. Maybe that is why this person entered your life in the first place. Not so you would spend years thinking about them, but so you would eventually discover something deeper. Your own strength, your own peace, your own wholeness, your own freedom. So if someone has been living inside your mind for far too long, perhaps today is the day you gently open your hand and let them go. Not because they never mattered, but because your peace matters too. And sometimes the most powerful act of love is not holding on. It is allowing yourself to move forward, to breathe again, to live again, to become fully present again. Because the life you are searching for is not behind you. It is waiting in front of you. And the moment you stop looking back, you finally give yourself permission to see it. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment and reflect honestly. Who has been living inside your mind? And more importantly, what part of yourself are you finally ready to reclaim? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story may help someone else who is silently carrying the same struggle. And if you enjoy these deep teachings on inner peace, letting go, mindfulness, and Buddhist wisdom, be sure to subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom and join us on this journey of awakening. Until next time, protect your peace, guard your mind, and remember, the greatest freedom is not found when someone returns. It is found when you no longer need them to. Thank you for watching.